how I responded creatively to the given brief. I used some instrumentation out of the regular orchestra, made scoring through motive creating with chord progressions that I played with spotting notes in cuts and spotting chords, so to say, percussion based scoring with melodies out of ordinary time signatures. Documentation and the process I used for scoring was I did quite of extensive session where um, I placed many markers which are now out of place because Ableton doesn't have the feature that Logic has where the markers move when you can choose, so the markers stay in place when you move when you change tempo. And also I drew some progressions and I chose the overall theme and mood in each section. um, there are many places where my instrumentation and my music reflects the visuals. I can show you. I picked out some cases where I can explain why, in which these cases are more in your face, more apparent than uh, more subtle chord progressions.
These three
Here it kind of sounds like a melody that you would hear in the beginning of a journey, I guess, like in the beginning of a morning.
they're orphans, but have found
These piano keys played, I kind of tried to make them sound played full to represent the cubs playing.
a loving home. And they're now
That flute tag was also supposed to resemble how the cub was being taken away from the camera.
at the center of a pioneering project.
And that chord progression was supposed to resemble the cubs climbing the tree.
No.
That those notes played by or trumpet, and the violin and the viola, perhaps, are supposed to resemble the cub jumping down into the water, and then right after
It's the first experiment.
That viola playing also means the cub
It's
rising
the first
into its brother or sister.
Their mother was shot by cowboys. By cowboys. She's the latest victim.
I think that wooden percussion and the electric guitar really resemble the malevolent nature of the cowboys represented here.
3 orphans, and he gave them into governmental officials because he knew they would starve to death. So luckily, this guy changed the destiny of these 3 cubs.
One cowboy had a change of heart.
Here, one of the scientists is talking about one cowboy changed his heart and decided to give the cubs to the government officials. And I played over the cellos. I played and the violas. I played the flute that isn't. It's kind of conflicting with the cellos and the violas. It's kind of to resemble like. Whilst the violas and the cellos are playing some harmonious notes, I think are in a major key, the foot is kind of interfering with it. It kind of resembles the not so trustworthy nature of the Cowboys, as I said. Although this one did a good deed, so I think some contrasting melody would do well here.
Place of that mother. It's a bold.
I start playing Mystic Pen or Hang Drum. You can call it um, whatever you want because it is modern. I think so, in my opinion, and kind of resembles. It's associated with brain, and I also play. Here's some few notes that kind of resemble the cub going down this slope here.
It's a bold, not going to be easy.
Here I actually played some kind of messy notes to resemble the cub falling from the tree.
The three cubs are now 6 months old, but are already very different from one another.
I like all of them, but Maya is more calm or sweet, and I prefer her.
Here I played for each of the three cubs a motif for each of them with different instruments to represent each of their unique personalities. Technical and creative challenges which occurred and how I overcame them. Time pressure, I played with what I had in mind and what I could do, and basically did what I could. So, technical challenges, Ableton is not really fit for scoring, and yeah, that's all I have to say. I already talked about the time markers that kind of are not good for this scoring. My interpretation of the narrative of this short section of a documentary is that there is really some playful sections and some worrying sections and some happy sections, and so I focused on keeping different frames of mind, so to say, in these different sections. That's how I conducted my creativity to score each one of them. I use technology in my DAW. I mostly use a bit of arpeggios, which I found useful, and draw some volume fade-ins and outs. Is there anything I would have done differently in this composition? I would focus more and be aware of my time limits and try to make the most of it instead of rushing it in the last minute, and regard more rhythmic and regard more rhythm, syncopations, key changes, crescendos, descendos, and time signature changes, mode changes. I would apply more different chords and complexity. I use polyrhythms with arpeggios to support struggles and dramatize the situation. When, for example, they are talking about the Cub situations when they first picked up. How have I managed to how have I managed a creative, coherent balance between comedic, dramatic, and romantic aspects of the film? I reflected it well, using playful and melancholic scoring where I included out-of-norm instruments and treated it like um, scoring a novel sometimes. What did I find most effective features of my DAW for this type of work? Ableton arpeggios are pretty simple to use.